Howdy friendos, my name is Stuart and welcome to the part of the channel where we take a look at pop culture characters and determine what alignment they are in Dungeons & Dragons. Today we are looking at one of my favorite Super Nintendo games, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. This game was released in 1996 by Square with the intent of getting Western audiences into JRPGs. Around this time in gaming history, Square had a real solid audience in Japan, but US and PAL regions didn't really care for them. There were a few attempts to get us engaged with stuff like Final Fantasy Mystic Quest and Final Fantasy VI, a game that I've already looked at on this channel, click that link, with Josh Scorcher. But it could be argued that Legend of the Seven Stars really is the game to get Westerners into the RPG genre. And I would argue to say it probably worked. When I was younger, I did dip my toes into the RPG formula, but I was definitely more of a Kirby and Mega Man guy. That is, until this game came along and I really couldn't get enough of it. Placing my biases forward again as usual, I loved this game growing up and I still love it now. In fact, I kinda had a mini rant about it on Twitter a bit ago, and if you want hints or if you want to suggest stuff for me to do in the future, Twitter really is the place to do it. If you didn't know, the Undertale, Deltarune, John Wick, Dio Brando, and several of my other videos all came from Twitter suggestions. Most of those are arguably my best work too. All self-promotion aside, this game is about Mario. Who would have guessed? At the beginning of the game, he and Princess Peach were seemingly on a date at his house, which I think is one of the few times this is ever actually shown in Mario history, actually. To which Bowser then swoops in and captures her. As usual, Mario has to go in and save her, which he does with ease by using Bowser's greatest enemy, gravity. However, before he could get a chance to get his weekly designated kiss and a cake, a huge sword descends down from the sky and plunges itself into Bowser's keep, sending all three flying into different directions. Mario tries to return to the castle, but is then cut off, which then sets Mario on his journey through the Mushroom Kingdom and the rest of the world. At first, Mario is simply going on his quest to save Princess Peach for the kingdom itself, but as the journey continues, the stakes reveal themselves to be much higher than originally thought, as they are joined by a character called Geno, who explains to the party that the sword that descended from the sky was in fact an artifact that split the Star Road, the metaphysical pathway that allows for dreams to come true. Once they discover this, they realize that their journey not only needs to include the rescue of Princess Peach, but also the rest of the world. This game isn't terribly deep and the story doesn't really get much more complicated than that, but situations do happen that require other characters to get involved that normally wouldn't, which does result in some interesting character dynamics and character arcs. So throughout this video, we'll be examining the major story beats of the game, and this is about a 20-hour game full of side quests, minigames, and a few other secrets here and there. This video will be examining the alignments of the 5 heroes that we get to play as well as a few other characters who I find fun, so mostly the ones who are important. As normal, let's go ahead and focus on our main character, Mario. Mario isn't really that complicated, guys. He's a good guy who always jumps to help others as often as he can. You, as the player, can make him kinda sassy, but that doesn't really take away from the actions he eventually decides to take. In this game, Mario kinda takes the role of the typical Squaresoft silent protagonist, which is a trope that is designed for the main character to say very little so that way you can project yourself into the role. This is actually kinda frustrating because I promise you, no one projects themselves into Mario. But regardless, we will weigh Mario's decisions as normal, and those mostly boil down to all the major plot points. Mario retains his very limited personality into this game, which, despite all of MatPat's attempts at convincing us otherwise, is a neutral good character, especially at the beginning of the game. Although he seems to be Peach's kinda sorta boyfriend. He doesn't seem to serve the kingdom, but he also isn't really a roguish do-gooder type either. He's just Mario. The first character to join our party is a boy named Mallow. He claims to be a tadpole born and raised in a swamp by a sage named Frogfucius. He seems to be a nice boy, but that doesn't necessarily make him good. He begins the game by basically begging Mario to help him rescue his lost wallet. Out of the 2 Square OC that join your party, he actually has the most going for him story-wise. I'm just gonna label him as true neutral for now, but lean him slightly towards good. The second character is everyone's favorite boy, Geno. Geno is a star being that descended from Star Road that was split by the sword that we see in the introduction. His name is unpronounceable by any human tongue, and in the Japanese version they went as far as to create a fake alphabet just to show this. But for now, he calls himself Geno in order to match the doll that he is currently possessing. I'll talk about him more in the post-analysis section, but for now we will go ahead and mark him as lawful neutral because he is tasked with collecting all the star pieces that fell from the sky. Bowser is the king of of all the Koopa and leader of the Koopa army. At the beginning of the game, he is ejected from his castle after the defeat at the hands of Mario and the invasion of the sword. He carries over his evil, if somewhat goofy personality from the other games. He is a cartoon bad guy and isn't meant to be taken seriously. He isn't really chaotic evil, but despite being the leader of a massive army, he isn't really lawful evil either. He will pretty much do whatever it takes to retake his castle and accomplish his goals, even if it means teaming up with his rival. So for now, we will label him at neutral evil. Princess Peach is a playable party member in this game, and despite the fact that she will wreck you at any Smash Bros. Game worth a damn, she is meant to be a support and healer type character. By the way, she is known as Princess Toadstool in this game, and that is because of a localization issue. In Japan, she was always known as Peach, but for whatever reason, we here in the West called her Princess Toadstool. Anyway, she is the leader of her kingdom and a very kind and sweet individual willing to help whoever. This isn't hard, she starts at lawful good. And with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at all the actions that Mario and his friends take. Our adventure begins with Peach being captured by Bowser. Mario pursues and successfully defeats him, but then is launched elsewhere. Despite his failure, this is neutral good. Mario reports his findings to his Toad and discovers that the bridge is out to Bowser's Keep. The two then head back to Mushroom Kingdom and report that Princess Peach is missing, and about the huge sword that fell from the sky. Along the way back, this poor Toad keeps getting caught by Goombas and other creatures. Mario can save him for some item rewards, but even if you don't, the story won't progress unless you save him from some Hammer Bros. I'm just gonna say neutral good. Mario reports his findings to the Mushroom Chancellor, showing off his impressive charade abilities, and then swears to save the princess. As Mario is about to leave, he sees a boy named Mallow being bullied by a mini-boss who stole his wallet. Mario volunteers to help Mallow get it back. Mario just promised to make finding Princess Peach his top priority, but instead he goes and helps out this weird frog he just met. I'm going to mark this as chaotic good since he is putting the needs of this one guy over the needs of an entire kingdom. After securing Mallow's wallet, the two then proceed to save the town from some mysterious invaders completely unprompted. They also secure a star piece but have no idea what it does. Neutral good. In order to pay back Mario as well as help the kingdom, Mallow suggests and then offers to escort Mario to his grandpa's place to look for leads about the star pieces. Lawful good. The duo head to Frogfucius's swamp and discover that Bowser and Peach have launched out of the castle from earlier, and the star piece they found is likely more important than they originally realized. It is then that Mallow's grandpa reveals a shocking secret to him.
You might have been kind of adopted. I knew it.
After that shocking and totally surprising revelation, Frogfucius tells Mallow to accompany Mario on his quest to save the princess and the stars. He also told Mallow that he should go find his birth family. Mallow agrees, and it's pretty well implied at this point that he's more interested in helping Mario than finding his parents, so I'll just say lawful good. The pair make it to Rosetown and discover arrows striking into the town, causing people to become frozen. There isn't much that can be done about this, so they head to a nearby inn where they discover a small Toad child playing with some prototype amiibo. Once he learned that Mario just walked into his inn, he gets all excited and asks to play, which Mario agrees. Neutral good. The child then pulls out a doll to play fight with Mario, a doll that he calls Geno. A doll that violates the Geneva Convention and is actually fully armed and dangerous and somehow manages to KO Mario. Later that night, a star descends and must make a choice to possess a form. Seeing as how there is a literal war machine sitting in front of it, the choice is fairly easy. The doll takes human shape and the entity leaves. The next morning, the child that they were playing with gives us direction of the next plot point, where we head into the forest. A place that has become something of a meme for being really confusing, but I don't know what to tell you guys. I never had a problem navigating this place. It really wasn't that hard. I don't know what to tell you other than get good. I always found the really bad isometric platforming in this game to be harder than the cardinal direction maze. I'm just saying. The two then reach a clearing where a boss called Bowyer is firing missiles into a town. Mario tries to charge in like the goddang murder machine that he is, but is stopped by Mallow. A second star piece is found by a flunky, but Geno emerges from the sky, again, and he demands that the star be reunited with him, claiming that he serves a higher authority. Bowyer attacks, going berserk and sending arrows everywhere. It's clear at this point that this boss is clearly the one petrifying people in town. Through a united effort of do-goodery, Mallow, Geno, and Mario stop him. I'm going to give Mario and Mallow a neutral good for coming to Geno's aid, while Geno gets a lawful good for trying to negotiate first before attempting to stop Bowyer's rampage. Geno then reveals that the star pieces are actually all part of the Star Road. You guys remember that really fun zone from Super Mario World? Anyway, Star Road is important because it's basically the realm that allows dreams to come true. If they don't collect the star pieces and repair the road, the dreams won't come true again. Geno joins the party and they head back to the inn where the doll came from and explain why they will be borrowing his doll for a while. I'll be giving Geno a lawful good for this since he goes out of his way to come back and explain everything to the kid. There is an optional part to do the Yoshi races, and holy hell, if this game ever had a Nat 1 scene, it's this Yoshi race
Gotcha!
It's so freaking hard, and the controls to make Yoshi run are so vague and so stupid, and I know I'm not the only person who had a hard time with this section, because to this day, I see forum posts and YouTube videos of frustrated players who have no idea how to win this stupid fucking race. I eventually managed to win thanks to some cheese, but I am absolutely convinced it was luck. Awful section, Nat 1 scene. The team then head to a town called Moleville where they discover another star piece in a mine. They get the star piece and rescue a little girl who got herself lost there. Not much to say about this except neutral good. The gang then run into Bowser in front of a tower belonging to a new character called Booster. Bowser then joins the party while they pretend to join the Koopa Troop. This game yada yadas this pretty hard, so I'm just gonna say neutral on Bowser and Mario here since, like, they're all kind of just accepting of this alliance for now. Once Bowser joins the party and completely invalidates everyone else's character, they raid Booster's tower. There's a point where Bowser can find a lone chain chomp, and Bowser rescues her and treats her with dignity, and she joins as a weapon. You know, lawful good on Bowser's part, I guess, maybe? The party goes to the top of Booster's tower. There's this really fun minigame where you can easily win with Mario hiding behind curtains. If you win, you get a really good accessory. Booster then takes Princess Peach and runs for Marrymore. Once you're there, shenanigans occur and you eventually rescue Peach. With no small thanks to the combined efforts of Mario and Bowser. Neutral good for Mario and neutral, I think, for Bowser, since he mostly wants a piece of our Princess's Peach, if you know what I'm saying. Also, shout out to my man Booster, who is just the weirdest OC I think Square has ever come up with. He's basically asexual Wario. We never actually see him fight, and he's just this comedic obstacle that just wants fun experiences. He's a bit of a prankster, but he's also kind of polite and gracious when he needs to be. I'm just gonna give him a chaotic neutral and call it a day. The gang head back to the Mushroom Kingdom and bring Peach back to the Chancellor and explain everything that they learned about the star pieces. Bowser tries to frame it so that he's the one doing everyone the favor while the party is sympathetic for him for losing his castle, but they don't back up his lies. Once Peach learns how serious the situation is, she volunteers to help but is told that she can't since she is needed in Mushroom Kingdom. She leaves with them anyway, saying that her grandmother will stand in for her. Skirting right past the realization that Peach and the Toads are the same species, we're going to go ahead and give these three boys a lawful good for turning in Peach and agreeing to defeat Smithy and repair Star Road. We're also going to give Bowser a chaotic neutral for tagging along, and Princess Peach a chaotic good for sneaking out and joining them. But, by my own logic, her action could be considered lawful good, since she is going out to save everyone, but due to her having to put her other civic duties on hold in order to go and join Mario, I'm just gonna stick with chaotic. The heroes head to a place called Star Hill, where wishes fall from the sky and end up landing. You find out that Mallow's parents are actively looking for him, and then we find a star piece. After that, the party discovers a seaside town where everyone is acting weird and give Mario and his friends a hint to head towards a sunken ship and find another missing star piece there. Once inside the ship, they discovered it was captained by a shark man creature named Johnathan Jones, who challenges the party to honorable combat. Once defeated, he gives Mario the star he was holding onto. I'll give Mario a lawful neutral here for the fair fight, I guess, but a surprisingly interesting part shows up afterwards. When the party gets back to town, the villagers reveal that they were imposters the entire time, and they demand the star that Mario got and threaten to hurt the real mayor if they don't get it. If you refuse to give them the star, they go in and tickle the real mayor. This is funny, and I laughed, and it's not really meant to be taken super seriously, but this is one of the few places where a moral choice from the player needs to be made. Also, fun fact, in ancient times, tickling used to be the preferred method of torturing on nobles and others who were too important to permanently injure, especially since it didn't leave any scar or anything like that. Since this choice is left to the player and not Mario himself, especially since this is a plot point where you have to give up the star, otherwise the story won't progress at all, I'm not actually going to count this. The imposters leave with the star and you chase them to a dock where Johnny pops out of the water and halts their progress. Heck yeah, Johnny! You show them that lawful evil awesomeness. They transform into a boss called Yardovich, and I swear I'm not saying that right, and the only time you are really going to use Peach is this fight because he constantly spams AoE attacks. Once you defeat him, you save the town, and for doing this, I'll give everyone a neutral good. After that, the party heads to Land's End and encounters a mouse who leads them all to Monster Town, a small village of monsters headed by a lady named Monster Momma. She calls them some paratroopers that open up a path to the next area for you. Before leaving town, however, a few things happen. If you do this mini side quest to get a shiny stone, you unlock an optional Final Fantasy style boss that can absolutely be bodied if you manage to get the super suit and other proper equipment. This optional boss is lawful evil since he is from a different dimension and wants to challenge the strongest person here before heading back to his own world. At least according to his own dialogue. If you beat him, he gives you the Quartz Charm, an item that pretty much trivializes the rest of the game. Anyway, you can also encounter a Goomba that defected from Bowser's army. Bowser, rather than punishing him or anything like that, wishes him the best of luck. Neutral good on Bowser's part, but if you want to say chaotic good, that's fair too. Mario can also beat the crap out of his martial arts master and get his dojo. They then rebrand him to the Mario style and start training in Mario's fighting techniques. Lawful neutral? Mario and the team then ascend a cliff with the help of the paratroopers and then climb up a beanstalk to a land of clouds occupied by people who look suspiciously like Mallow. Also, it turns out that the long-lost Prince Mallow has recently returned to the kingdom and is about to marry Momma Tigglebitties here. The gang wander into a sculptor's hut and discover, to their surprise, Mallow is actually the long-lost Prince Mallow! They realize that Mommy Wide Thighs is actually trying to depose the throne and sneak inside. Once they sneak inside, they rescue some people and then restore Mallow to his rightful place on the throne and have a very tearful reunion with his parents. All of this is lawful good for everyone. However, weirdly enough, Bowser gets an extra point in neutral good since he offered to break Mallow's parents out of their imprisonment early. After freeing Mallow's parents, they suggest looking in a nearby volcano for a star piece since there claims to be people that saw one fall there. The party goes in, defeats the boss, and then the surprise boss, the Axum Rangers, and then they get the piece and head back to Mallow's folks. After defeating the Rangers, the gang report back to the king and then take a floating bus to Bowser's castle. While inside the castle, if you put Bowser in your party, he actually scares a lot of monsters and they run away since they used to work for him. Really good touch. At the end of the gauntlet, you fight Magic Koopa, who has been brainwashed. If you beat him, he asks Bowser what went wrong, and Bowser, being best boy of this game, forgives him and praises him for being a loyal soldier. Another neutral good for Bowser. After a brief break, you fight this mini-boss samurai wannabe named Boomer. I'll call him lawful evil. And then you fight Exor, the name of the sword that plunged itself into the keep. You take out his eyes and then have Geno one-shot him. Easy game. You are then sucked into his mouth, which is then revealed to be a portal to a factory dimension. The party steel themselves for the final challenge. Bowser tried to peace out, but Geno stopped him, letting him know that the problem will just get worse if they don't handle it now. Bowser justified staying with some chaotic neutral nonsense about protecting the Koopa Trooper reputation, but in reality, he's being kind of tsundere about palling around with them. The party makes it through the factory world into the main core. They are stopped by a toad who has supplies for them. And wait a minute! How the hell did this guy get here? He would have had to have passed a chasm that Mario couldn't even get past, get through Bowser's castle, hop into the mouth of a sword that's 1,000 meters in the air, and make it past a hellscape of evil Tinker Toys and isometric platforming. Forget Bowser, this guy is the most powerful character in the game. Can I get this guy in my party, please? Also, Peach confesses that she left the kingdom to help Mario. Lawful good for Peach? There are some mini-bosses left. Both of them, Peach and Bowser, try to use diplomacy and intimidation respectively, which just didn't work. Lawful good for them, I guess. The gang make their way to the end and fight a boss named Smithy. He's got a few phases, and it's fairly tough, but it can eventually be beaten. With the final star collected, Geno uses his powers to repair Star Road. He then leaves the doll that he was occupying. He and his friends that he made along the way all have a heartfelt goodbye to each other. Even Bowser's getting in on it. And we proceed to the end of game credits, which admittedly is a pretty good Nat 20 scene, giving very satisfying endings to all the friends and characters we made along the way. I especially like the parade here. I really do like Super Mario RPG. It's aged about as well as any game really can, except for the isometric platforming, but otherwise there isn't much to say. So let's go ahead and take a final look at the characters. Mario. Mario was the silent goody two-shoes protagonist, and he was always helpful and doesn't really change much. Honestly, same with Peach. They're just good characters, and there's no way Square would give them any other arc aside from something like that. Geno. I really like Geno as a concept. The idea that he is in fact a star child or something that descended from the heavens on a divine quest to save the world is really cool. I also like all the little details and mystical dialogue that they give him. I especially like this line when he was introduced to Mario. "Oh, you're the Mario. We've heard about you." I don't know why I love dialogue like this. It has so many interesting implications. Like the silly drama of a plumber, a princess, and a dragon turtle has such far-reaching implications that the heavens and stars themselves have noticed. That, and Mario has gone on the Star Road before in Super Mario World. Assuming there's any real continuity there, I don't know. Either way, he's just badass. But guys, I really hate to say this because Geno was my favorite too growing up, but like, Geno doesn't really have a lot going for him otherwise. He has like no character arc at all. He just shows up to remind the party of the quest every so often. He maybe cracks a joke or two, and is just kind of the cool character. I think we all remember him so fondly because he was one of the first introductions into the abstract visitor from afar character archetype and his design, which is kinda odd when you look at it up close. The 3D sprite that they used for this game looks great, and there's nothing wrong with the flat arc, but it is disappointing we didn't get some kind of personal quest for him. Mallow. Mallow is actually the character with the most dramatic and emotional story in the game. The idea that he has to go out and seek his birth family is pretty compelling and gives him lots to do. He starts off as a giant crybaby, but like, whatever, he's a kid. He then becomes a really good and reliable party member, assuming you actually let him, because sadly, mechanically, he is completely outperformed by almost everyone else. Bowser. Bowser, my boy, while being really great, doesn't throw a lot of surprises in the way as the story narrative goes. He's a villain in a game that isn't meant to be taken seriously, so of course he's kind of a jerk with a soft side archetype. We know in the other games he'll go back to capture Peach again and he and Mario will do battle, but like, it's sort of a game to them. He's not really a threat and not really evil as we think about it. He's not even Disney evil. More like Tom and Jerry evil. Still, Bowser was great in this game, one of my favorites. If you want to make suggestions for the next alignment video, head to Twitter right now and follow me and send me a suggestion for people to do in January. Although, please do respond in the thread that I linked in the description, by the way. I'll take the best ones and see what happens. Watch our other alignment videos, thank you to the patrons, and I'll see you next time.